Welcome students. I am Mrs. Divya. I am dealing with the chapter 7 evolution. This is my fourth video. In this module, we are going to discuss the chemical evolution of life. Students, the chemical evolution of life is also known as the self-assembly theory of origin of life, biochemical origin of life, molecular evolution, or Oparin-Haldane theory of chemical evolution. So when you see all these different names, you can guess that this theory is mainly based on origin with the help of chemicals, right? So this theory, it was developed by two scientists. One is the Russian scientist Alexander Ivanovich Oparin, and the other one is British scientist JBS Haldane. Okay, so hence it is also called as the Oparin-Haldane theory of chemical evolution. So according to this theory, students, the life originated from non-living matter some 3 billion years ago. Okay, so as I told you now, non-living matter. So don't come to the conclusion about abiogenesis. Previously you had studied abiogenesis was suggested by many scientists, right? That means life originated spontaneously from the non-living matter. But here also they are telling non-living matter itself, but it is nothing but the chemicals. Okay, so according to them, it is the chemicals which gave rise to the life in the primitive atmosphere. Then children, then they supported biogenesis. Got it? Remember here, this theory of Oparin-Haldane, it suggests both. They say that initially life originated abiogenetically from the non-living matter, that is nothing but the chemicals. Then how did the continuity of life take place? It is from one organism to other organism, that is nothing but biogenesis. Got it? So they said that life started abiogenetically, then it continued biogenetically. Okay, so according to them, life originated from a collection of chemicals. Okay, so through a series of chemical reactions. You know, it is the atoms which are the smallest particles, right? So chemical reactions went on starting from the atoms, where the atoms started to combine into molecules, then molecules into simple organic molecules, then those simple organic molecules into complex organic compounds, and then complex organic compounds into the aggregates, which aggregated into the living matter. Okay, so this is what the theory is suggested by the two scientists. So all of this they explained in different steps, that is right from the origin of earth, students, till the evolution of first life. They explained it in different steps. Okay, so see here, origin of earth, you might remember the origin of earth was actually explained by Big Bang theory, right? So almost similar similar theory was given by Oparin-Haldane about the origin of earth. Okay, so according to them also, earth originated because of a explosion. So almost they supported that Big Bang theory. Then later on they went on explaining in that primitive atmosphere how the first life might have evolved. Okay, so here this is a very important question, children. For 5 marks, they may ask you to explain the theory of chemical evolution of life. Okay, but when you check into your NCERT textbook, these steps are not being mentioned. Okay, so while reading, first always see that you refer your NCERT textbook. So here in NCERT, these steps have not been explained. So don't ask me why unnecessarily I'm going to explain you these steps. It is not unnecessary, students. whole of this theory of chemical evolution, as I told you, from origin of Earth to biological evolution, everything has been explained in just half a page, okay, around in 7 to 8 sentences. But those 7 to 8 sentences cover all of these different steps. Got it? So to understand those sentences which are given in your NCERT textbook, so just I am going to explain you them separately so that the concept becomes clear for you. Got it? So here in this chapter, children, mainly you cannot by heart, don't go to by heart the things, okay? So it is just a story of our past. Read it like history. I know history is a very boring chapter for you all, so a boring subject for you all, but don't have that psychology in your mind. Think you are just studying about your past. So enjoy the story of our evolution. So try to understand the concept and try to reproduce it in your answers. Okay, so as you are going to watch the videos, don't watch them like a movie. I have told you. So keep a book and a pen with you. See that you go on writing the important points which have been told, and see that you make your own notes. Okay, so here, as I told you, if you go through these different steps separately, the concept will be easily understood by you all. So once you understand the concept, try to minimize those steps and frame them in just 8 to 10 sentences. Got it? Okay, so let us study one by one each of these different steps of theory of chemical evolution. Okay, so students, the first step is origin of Earth and its primitive atmosphere. Here, Oparin and Haldane explained that origin of life on Earth is closely related to the origin of Earth itself. So understand this. They said that, or they explained that life originated in the same manner how the Earth has come into existence. Okay, so let us see how do they correlate, both of them. So you know that Earth originated about 4.6 billion years ago. So they also supported the same theory. So according to these scientists, Earth was a part of Sun itself. Initially, Earth was a part of Sun itself. It was just a glowing fire. How was the Earth initially? It was in the Sun itself. It was a part of the Sun itself, and it was nothing but a glowing fire, and it consisted of various gases in their vapor form because there was enormously high temperature. So all the gases were present in their vapor form. So it was just a cloud of hot gases. It was continuously rotating. It was a cloud of hot gases. Along with those gases, also it consisted of pieces of rocks, metals, etc. Okay, so this condition can be called as nebulous condition. So understand this term, nebulous or nebula. What do you mean by the term nebula? Nebula is nothing but a cloudy atmosphere. Cloudy in the sense completely consisting of gases, dust, cloud of gases. So initially, according to these scientists, or according to this chemical evolution of life, they suggested that the whole universe, okay, or this whole planetary system was initially nebular in nature, or it was a nebulous condition. That is, it was a cloud of gases and dust initially. Okay, so slowly what happened was this nebulous condition, it exploded. That is, as I told you, initially there was a nebulous condition, right? So this nebula, suddenly it exploded with a big bang into several small pieces. So it broke into many small pieces. So Earth was a piece broken from the sun itself. Did you understand? So they said that initially there was nebular condition, that is completely a cloud of hot gases was present totally. So suddenly it exploded, don't know why. Okay, so suddenly there was a big bang and explosion took place. So Earth came out from that explosion. So it was a part of the sun itself. Because of that big bang, it separated from the sun. So here you, if you can understand that they almost supported the Big Bang theory. Okay, so initially I've studied origin of Earth took place, that was explained by Big Bang theory, right? So these scientists also supported that Big Bang theory for explaining the origin of Earth. Okay, then later what happened? So the Earth separated from the sun. Yes, then slowly it started moving away from the sun. So when it moved away from the sun, what happened? The temperature went on decreasing. So it was not an immediate process, students. This also took place for many years. So slowly, gradually there was decrease in the temperature. So what happened? This decrease in temperature, it led to the condensation of gases. Okay, so initially whatever lighter gases were present, they slowly started condensing. Then at the same time, on the earth, yes, there was also volcanic eruptions were present, and also there was, as I told you, it was a cloud of hot gases and dust. Yes, so along with that there were also metals present, many different elements were present, out of which there were some heavy metals such as iron, nickel. So these heavy metals, they sank to the center of the earth. Okay, so they formed the solid core, the central core of the earth. Got it? Then the lighter elements which were present, like helium, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, they all started escaping out, because as they were lighter elements, they did not easily condense. They started escaping out and they formed the atmosphere of the earth. Okay, so the atmosphere of the primitive earth, how was the atmosphere? There was no free oxygen here. Don't get confused. Here I have mentioned about oxygen. Yes, but this was not free molecular oxygen. Okay, so this atomic oxygen, it would easily combine with the hydrogen forming water vapors, that I'll tell you later. Okay, so there was no free molecular oxygen. So that is why it is said that the atmosphere of the primitive earth was reducing type. Okay, so it was reducing type. Why? Because there was no free oxygen. The present day atmosphere is oxidizing type. Remember, students, it is oxidizing type. This is also a question for your entrance exams or competitive exams. Okay, what was the condition of the primitive atmosphere, whether it is reducing or it was oxidizing type? It was reducing type. Why? Because there was no free oxygen. Got it? Next, so this was what they gave the origin of earth. So if you just recall once, it is almost similar to whatever the Big Bang theory you have studied. Am I right? So in Big Bang you studied that there was sudden huge explosion, then there was formation of lighter elements. Yes, okay, then there was formation of the other different compounds like ammonia, methane, water vapor. Yes, so next they explained about the formation of ammonia, water and methane. Got it? So almost it is the same, right? So now what happened here? The prebiotic environment, that is the earth, was initially very hot. Yes, so because of this high temperature, chemical reactions was not so easy, because for any reactions to take place there has to be some optimum temperature. Yes, because of this hot condition, the atoms, they could not combine very easily. Okay, so the primitive earth, actually what did it consist of is, there was large amounts of carbon, then hydrogen was there, oxygen and nitrogen. So initially the gases present here were these gases. Out of these, hydrogen was highly reactive. So you have studied chemistry, you should be knowing why hydrogen is very reactive. The valency of hydrogen is 1. So it is always reactive. It easily combines with any of the elements. Yes. So hydrogen was highly reactive. So this hydrogen now, it started combining with nitrogen to form what? Ammonia. Then hydrogen combined with oxygen, as I told you, atomic oxygen was present, forming water. Then this hydrogen combined with carbon, forming what? Methane. Okay, so these reactions went on continuously. So as the temperature was very high here, okay, so that is these reactions were going on, but further they couldn't continue. Why? Because the temperature was very high. Yes, so as the temperature was very high, these two, ammonia and methane, they remained as gases itself, and water remained as steam itself. Okay, so they could not further condense, and water also, it could not be formed in the liquid state because the temperature was too high, and it remained as steam itself, that is water was in its vaporic form itself. Okay, then so slowly as years passed, what happened? So as I told you, the temperature went on decreasing slowly. Yes, so it was not a process of 1 or 2 days. So slowly the temperature went on decreasing. So because of this, the steam, that is the water vapor, was present, that slowly started to condense into water droplets. Okay, so these water droplets, they resulted in rain. So as the rain water fell on the earth, what happened, students? Now the earth started to cool slowly. Okay, so with the decreasing temperature, now the atmospheric conditions started becoming favorable to support life. So now the rain started, then you can see that the temperature started to reduce. Then as this water started accumulating on the earth's surface, you can see that this led to the formation of rivers, streams, lakes, seas and different oceans, that is different water bodies were formed slowly. Okay, so now this rainwater, children, which fell on the earth and which gave rise to the water bodies, what did this water consist of now? So you know that initially it was steam, that is water vapors, they they were converted into water droplets. Yes, then what about that ammonia and methane? Remember, ammonia and methane were formed. Yes, so what about those? So those were also in their gaseous state, right, because of the high temperature. So now as the temperature started to reduce and as the rainwater fell onto the land and formed the water bodies. Yes, so now these gases, they also dissolved in the rainwater. Okay, and they accumulated in the seas. Got it? So the first chemicals formed on earth. Where were the first chemicals formed? It was in the water, students. So the first chemicals were formed in the water. Why? Because that ammonia and methane, which was in the gaseous state, now it dissolved in the rainwater. Yes, so methane, ammonia, and water were the first chemicals to be formed. This is according to the Oparin-Haldane theory. The same thing you have studied previously in the Big Bang theory. Remember, yes, don't get confused, students. Big Bang theory, and this is the Oparin-Haldane theory, which is almost the same, right? So now you have studied how actually the first chemicals were formed. Yes, so the first chemicals formed were methane, ammonia, and water. Right? Then next, what happened? Next step is the synthesis of simple organic compounds. So here the formation of micromolecules was initiated. So then this is the next step in molecular evolution. That is, it was the formation of micromolecules. So until now we have studied the formation of some compounds. Yes, which were the compounds formed? Methane, ammonia were formed. Now slowly they gave rise to micromolecules. How, students? So as the earth's surface cooled, the highly reactive radicals were formed, such as CH and CH2. So you should be knowing what are radicals. So radicals means what? They are nothing but the free ions which are having valence electrons. Yes, so as they are having valence electrons, they are having empty shells or valence electrons, they are highly reactive in nature, students. Yes, so where did these radicals come from? From methane. Remember, there was carbon, there was hydrogen. Yes, initially. So this carbon, hydrogen, some of them combined forming methane, and some which incompletely combined, they formed the free radicals. Now these free radicals also, they started condensing and they gave rise to different hydrocarbons. You know what hydrocarbons consist of? Yes, so you have studied different types of hydrocarbons also. So these free radicals, they gave rise to saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons also. Okay, so slowly you can see here, now there are formation of some molecules is taking place. So now this simple inorganic molecules which were formed, how did they form, students? How did these reactions actually take place? It was because of some energy sources. So for any reactions to take place, they need energy. Yes. So in that primitive conditions, where did they get that energy from? So the source of energy during those days, it was UV rays from the sun. Then there was the lightning. Then there were, as I told you, continuous volcanic eruptions were taking place. So with the help of these energy sources, those early molecules of hydrocarbons, then as I told you, ammonia was there, methane was there, water is there, all these, they showed many different reactions, like polymerization started to take place. You know what is polymerization? Polymers. Poly means many, right? So many similar molecules, they started to combine, forming a chain of compound. Yes, So in later you will be studying, that is, proteins, they are nothing but formed by polymerization of amino acids. Many amino acids group combine forming proteins. So like this, polymerization reactions initiated. Then oxidation reactions started to take place. Then there were reduction reactions. Then condensation reactions. So like this, many chemical reactions. You have studied different types of chemical reactions. You will have studied in your chemistry. Yes. So like this, many different sorts of chemical reactions were happening. Okay. So this resulted in the formation of simple organic compounds. Remember, children. Okay, so what has happened until now? Origin of Earth took place. How did it take place? There was a big bang. Yes, so by big bang, the Earth separated from the sun. The Earth was a glowing fire initially, consisting of hot gases in it. So it was separated from the sun. Okay, then in this Earth, so gradually there was formation of the compounds like methane, ammonia, and water vapor was formed in that high temperature. Then later, students, there was formation of simple organic compounds. How did it take place? With the reducing temperature in the earth. Yes, so as the temperature went on reducing, the water vapor started to condense into water. Then the methane, ammonia, they dissolved in that rainwater, and they were dissolved in the water bodies which were formed. Yes, so inside those water bodies, these chemical reactions started to take place. Yes, remember. So now JBS Haldane, he called this sea. Now, where are all these present now? In the sea water itself. Yes. So the sea water, the water bodies now were containing the monosaccharides. You know what are monosaccharides? They're all simple organic compounds now. Amino acids, then fatty acids, then purines were formed, then pyrimidines were formed. I hope you remember what I have studied, the biomolecules. Then glycerol were formed. Yes, so all these were now present in the water bodies, in the sea water. Yes, so now the sea water is a mixture of many different simple organic compounds. So hence JBS Haldane called such sea water or such water bodies as the hot dilute soup. Hot dilute soup, or it is also called as the primitive broth. Okay, broth in the sense medium, nutrient medium. It was a primitive broth, or it is called as a dilute soup. Why it was called as a dilute soup? Because it was a mixture of many different compounds in it. Yes, and it is hot soup. Why? Because the temperature is still high. It is reducing, no doubt, but still the temperature is high. Okay, then it is primitive broth, students. Why? Broth is a nutrient medium, so this medium itself is the precursor of the life. Yes, so it is in this medium which where the life started to originate, right? So he called it the primitive broth. Okay, I hope it's clear for you all. Now this primitive broth, it did not degrade, that is, it did not decompose. Why there was no decomposition taking place? Because still there is no enzymes present in it, and there was no, still free oxygen was not there. Okay, so it was just a sterile broth. Sterile in the sense what? There was no formation of sterile. When do you call them as sterile? Anything, when do you call it sterile? When it is free from microorganisms free from germs. Yes, so there was no decomposition taking place. Why? Because there is still no enzymatic reactions happening. So it was a sterile broth. So students, till now you have studied how actually the origin of earth took place, and then how did the primitive atmosphere give rise to the simple organic compounds. Okay, so hope you have understood. In the next module, we'll continue with the formation of complex organic compounds and then how actually the first life came into existence. Okay, so thank you everyone.